So with the Sewyeah Social Club projects, you can see that there's a lot of embroidery lines that I show you. The different colours relate to the different type of stitch. But we don't really want to transfer all these lines onto our felt. So we can either trace the main ones, or I like to just draw the most important ones with my Frixion pen. So I'm just going to draw the kind of edge of the stalk to show this bit here, and then just a few lines at the bottom. And when we have these key lines in place, then we can use these to kind of determine where the rest of our stitches go. And all that I'm going to do freehand. So I'm going to start with a kind of long scallop, sort of like a lazy daisy stitch. And we're going to work our way all the way round this area of the mushroom. And when you've finished, just make a few little stitches on top of each other, and then take your needle through a loop that's left and then trim it away to make it nice and secure. Then we're going to add a few more scallop stitches at the bottom and a few rows of running stitch along the stalk, and then just finish off with a few little straight stitches to add a bit more detail. So the next thing we want to do is sew a row of split back stitch along the drawn line, and I'm using 6 strands of thread here because this is the area that we are going to quilt later, so we want to have this bit nice and chunky. So when we get to the end, we've got a little bit of spare thread, so I'm just going to sew a few French knots to use up this thread. And then here comes the fun bit. We're going to add our beads and sequins. So add a sequin onto your needle and thread, if you can pick it up. There we go. And then add a bead, and then put your needle back through the sequin, and the bead will keep the sequin anchored in place. Keep going, choose wherever you want to add your beads and sequins in a nice random pattern. You can layer up your beads and sequins. Oh no, yeah, there we go. 2 sequins and a bead, lovely. And there we have the front of our toadstool decorated. So next you want to just line both pieces up and pin them together. And then we're going to start with a blanket stitch. So we're going to start with our thread in between the 2 layers of felt, and we're going to make 1 small stitch. We're going to take our needle through that first stitch, and then we're going to start our blanket stitch. Work your way around the top of the toadstool until you get to the base, and then you're going to just lose your thread inside the toadstool, having secured it properly first of all. And then this is your stuffing hole. So now you're going to add your stuffing. I suggest using soft toy stuffing for this project. Use a bamboo pokey stick to get it into all the corners. And when you've stuffed the hat of the toadstool, the next thing you want to do is stuff the stalk. So blanket stitch around the stalk and then keep stuffing. Stuff it nice and firmly and then sew it closed. Lovely job. And then again, you can just do a couple of stitches to secure, stick your needle into the toadstool and then trim away the excess thread. So the next thing we need to do is we are going to quilt the red line that we've sewn at the base of the toadstool hat. So we're just going to use one strand of thread. Normally I would do this with an invisible thread or a white thread, but I'm just doing it with a red thread so you can see what it looks like on the back. So we are going to take our needle and thread and just sew very small straight stitches directly through all the layers of the felt and the stuffing. And as we sew, we're going to kind of pull it tight so you can see it creates a kind of squished line. And then this is what it looks like on the back, which is why it's nice to do it with an invisible thread. So we're just going to trim away the excess threads. And then you can see it's more pronounced on the front, but you can see there's kind of undulations in our decorations now. And the final thing I like to do is add a bit more sparkle around the edge of the toadstool by using a whipped blanket stitch. So I'm just taking my needle and thread over and under through the blanket stitch. I'm not going through the felt, I'm just going through each stitch and winding the metallic thread over each stitch. So there you go. Just give it a little iron as well at the end to get rid of any of the excess Friction pen. And there we have all our decorations.